Hello, welcome to the podcast of the Obtusely Stupid. I hate myself. I fucking hate myself. I hate myself. I hate myself. I hate myself. I hate myself. Also, my hair is still fucking too long and it's terrible. It's long enough that I can fucking make a tiny ass rat tail of it. It's funny when I was like, I'll film today. I was like really mad. I was really pissed off a couple hours ago. And funny enough, if you take a shower and like take a shower, I'm like, oh, I'm so bad, I'm gonna yell on my fucking video, and then now I'm like, whatever. But it's difficult to make me like really mad. Usually, I feel like that might change soon, unfortunately, which I don't like, because I mean, who likes being angry? Nobody likes being angry. Nobody enjoys being angry. But, nobody likes being angry, and it's like, good, I did not grow up learning how to manage my anger. I grew up learning how to not have anger. And guess what? When you do start having anger, when you've, just, like, stuffed that down, it does become untenable. It does become a problem. So I'm excited for it to be a problem very shortly. And by excited, I'm not fucking excited at all, because damn, I hate being unjustly angry, right? And God, my hair is fucking stupid. I can just tell. I can feel it being a fucking problem. I look like a fucking idiot, and I'm probably making it worse. That's the wonderful thing, is I'm probably just making it worse. If I left it alone, it'd probably be better. But I'm making it worse instead. And that's fine, I guess. I don't know. Fucking ugly anyway. Who cares? Okay, I don't want to bring that energy into the video. I don't want to bring that energy here. But I don't know, man. I hate being unjustly angry. But the problem is that is a very human thing, right? In theory, it is very human to have unjust anger that is undeserved. And no one's anger can be completely 100% just all the time. You can't always be just and rational about the things you're upset about. You just can't. You just fucking can't. I hate this. I don't even know how it looks, and I just fucking doesn't feel like it's right. I don't fucking know. But you can't. You can't ever, 100% be rational 100% of the time. You can't have only rational anger 100% of the time. Sometimes it's going to be unjust. Sometimes it's going to be irrational. Because that's how humans work. And I don't like that. I've worked very hard to try. I've spent my life working very hard to try and, who or what is the root cause of the problem that I'm angry about. I think often the people, who lash out in anger and use anger in a destructive and harmful way, often the issue there is that they don't know what the root of the problem is, because they've likely not had enough time to think about it. Anger is one of all emotions, all types of emotional regulation take time to learn, but with anger, because how anger works for a lot of people is it's something. It kind of sneaks up on you, right? Like it gets there without you really realizing it if you're not extremely used to recognizing it before it gets there, which takes therapy and a lot of emotional awareness, which not everybody has. Not everybody has learned that skill. And that's why you go to therapy. One of the reasons you go to therapy is to learn emotional awareness, learn regulation of those emotions that are difficult to manage without the, knowing what's happening in your body, knowing what's happening in your brain. But, like, I don't know. I spent a lot of my childhood and adulthood and everything in between really trying to, like, who is the, what is the root cause here, right? It doesn't really do any good to be angry at someone where it's like it's not their fault, you know. It feels a little pointless, like, well, you didn't do this, so why am I feeling this emotion at you? And so, you know, finding like, okay, what am I really angry about? Who am I really angry at? You know, I think I'm angry at this person, but if I think about it, this person was, you know, doing XYZ to meet their own needs or manage their own emotions, or they didn't understand the situation, or they, you know, they did not have the capacity to recognize this aspect of the situation, the experience. They didn't know this, whatever, you know, like it's you know, I try to think about like, all right. And so I have, you know, over time, you know, over the years, it has become easier to do that, to be like, where's the root of this problem? You know, what's the root that I should be angry at? And, you know, I find time and time again that the root is almost never a person. It's not never a person, but it's almost never a person. It is almost always something that is just bigger than, you know, we are as individual human beings. A system at play, or, you know, something that is so deeply ingrained into people as a whole that is, you know, something, you know, much larger, that festers. So, you know, so that means that it is very hard to make me angry, because I will make excuses for you. I will, I will, you know, try to advocate for, you know, the person in question often. Because, you know, we all have, and I have definitely had the experience of having people be very angry at me when I could not do any better than I was doing, you know? When I lacked the capacity to make a better decision, or lacked the knowledge to make a better decision, lacked the experience, you know, or just lacked the ability for a number of other factors. And to have someone be incredibly angry with you when you do not have the capacity to do better is very hurtful and harmful, right? So I don't like doing that to other people. But, so the reason I was angry this morning is, so technically it's the 31st right now, and SSI, usually you get your payment on the 1st. Usually you get your payment on the 1st. There was one time I think I got it on the 2nd, and I was losing my fucking mind. I don't know what happened there, because I was just like, it's never later than the 1st. Sometimes it comes the day before the 1st. Not always, but sometimes it does. And so today was one of those days where it actually did come before the 1st. So I was able to see that the amount they promised me wasn't there. I did call them twice, actually. I called them and talked to someone, and they were like, yeah, you'll get the full amount next month, which is this month, well, September, so tomorrow. And they're like, you will get the full amount. I fixed it in the system. Well, that's not true. And either they somehow broke up the payment weird and I will get paid the full amount tomorrow. I don't think that's true. That's never happened. That doesn't make sense. And I mean, if that does happen, I'll let you know I was an idiot. But that's not how that's not how that works. They make one deposit, right? They make one deposit a month. So that's not fucking gonna happen. So they did not increase my pay like they were supposed to, even though I have moved. And, you know, more is required of me here. So I have to go another month with not enough, you know. And I'll make it work, you know. You know, that it is one of those things that I'm very great, you know. Family can be difficult, right? on one hand, it's very difficult to have a family that denies your gender expression, your gender identity, and won't use the name that you prefer. And also, I do have to acknowledge that my family has been helping me out a lot. There's been some issues with the laundry room here, and I haven't really wanted to use it because there was when I got here, they said there's an issue, we're still fixing it, and then there have been issues since, so I'm a little wary about using it right now until they've got all the plumbing figured out. I've been very grateful that I can bring laundry back home and get it washed, and that my family is willing to drive me to doctor's appointments last minute when I can't get a ride. My UTI results came back negative. However, I have been taking the antibiotic anyways, and I have been feeling better with it. It has been actively, helping with my symptoms. So that means I guess I don't have a UTI, but I do have some kind of infection somewhere in the body, somehow, somewhere. Couldn't tell you where, if I'm honest. But, thank God I have that antibiotic anyway, and it is making me feel better. So I'm going to finish that. Because, even if they can't find the infection, clearly there is one. If it's actively, reducing the impact of my symptoms, clearly there is infection somewhere. God knows where. I don't fucking know, man. So that's a little scary, but also, thank goodness. It does mean that if this round of antibiotics doesn't work, I do have to complain again and be like, bitch, I don't know either, but, I don't know either. So I don't know. I'm not sure what I've done to myself or what has happened, but probably something stupid I did. I don't know. But, and I don't know. That's what I'm learning. I think I'm just obtusely stupid. I'm just dumb. I'm just a dumbass. I don't know. Oh, fuck. Got these fucking... Also, I have fucking fruit flies again, which is terrifying. I have a funny story about fruit flies. Bugs scare me in general. I'm terrified of bugs. My fear... This makes no sense. My fear with bugs, and I don't know where I got this fear, because when I was a little kid, I loved bugs. When I was a little kid, we actually had these bricks in the backyard, big cement, block bricks, this big. They have a name. They have a specific name, and I can't remember what they're called. And we also had this other big, huge cement that it's much bigger than that. It was this big, I think. Cement. I'm not sure what it was. It was a cement thing. And just a slab of cement in the squarish shape. These sat on the ground in our way in the back of the yard, right before it drops down into this. When I was a kid, we called it a ravine. It's not big enough to be a ravine. As an adult, I look at it, I'm like, okay, it's not a ravine, but we called it that as kids, because it seemed big at the time. It felt like if you fell off that, you'd fall off the end of the earth. When now it's okay, if you fell off that, you'd probably break your neck, but it's not, it's not miles deep like it felt when I was young. So, but there was it was basically a creek bed that had mostly dried up and just had barely a little water running through, but the bricks were sitting kind of towards that area, or cement blocks or whatever the fuck, I don't fucking know. And I would anytime I went out to play, I'd go look under those. I'd go check for critters. And I would gather worms in my hand and just hold a pile of worms in my hand, and just walk around like that. and then accidentally kill them because I'd bring them back to the sidewalk and be like, wow, they're crawling around. And then I'd forget them and come back the next day and there's just dried, like, little fucking squiggles on the ground. And I'm like, I killed them. I'm a murderer. I was a dumb fucking kid. So, like, I used to like bugs and, like to play with them. I was always afraid of spiders. We had this one spider that was, like, it was, like, yellow and red. And as a kid, I was like, colorful spiders are supposed to be bad. Like, the colors in nature are supposed to mean poison, right? Like, if something is brightly colored in nature, it usually means do not eat it. Don't touch it. So that freaked me out. I don't know what kind of spider it was. I don't remember well enough to look it up. But I remember it was yellow and red. So it wasn't huge either. It was like maybe like this big, like the legs included, not just the body. I don't know. I'm not sure how big it was. But anyway. What was I talking about? I was talking about something. Oh yeah, but then like when I hit like puberty-ish, for some reason I started being terrified of bugs. I was terrified of bugs. And the fear has always been and was back then, it still is, that for some reason I have this deep fear that a bug is gonna crawl inside my vagina. That's my fear. That I'm gonna be sleeping at night or out about in nature or, sitting on a park bench and a bug will laser focus to my fucking cooch and decide that is a nice resting place for it and its eggs. I do not know why this is my fear. I have no idea why this is my fear. It's it's really stupid. So like anytime I see a bug, I'm just like, oh, it's trying to get in my vagina. But so I've always been afraid of bugs. But my fruit fly story is that I was in college, and I was in my dorm room. I had a dorm room. I did not have a roommate. I just had my dorm room. I, as you might guess from my current surroundings, I'm a very messy person. I hate this about myself. God, I wish I was better at cleaning. I keep being like, I need to clean, and then I'm just like, oh God, I don't want to fucking clean. Oh God. So, yeah. I'm a very messy person, and I hate this about myself. I feel a lot of shame about it, and I really fucking hate it, and I really wish I was a lot better at it, and I'm not. I'm just not. That's just the thing. I'm just not. I'm sure my hair looks fucking terrible right now, and I hate myself. Why am I almost crying about that? That's stupid. Speaking of stupid, that's stupid. Yeah, I had a dorm room, and I brought back an apple from the what's it called? The place you eat. The place you eat at with the food. The food place. The place with food. Cafeteria. I think that's what it's called. Food hall? I don't fuck. Oh God, this is a bad sign. I shouldn't be filming. So, yeah, like, cafeteria area, I brought an apple back to my room, like, I'll eat this later. I didn't fucking eat it later. I never ate that apple, actually. Other things did. So, I, doing backwards math, it was probably around 2 weeks that it sat, in my room, it was on my desk, covered by bits of paper. That I didn't see it. And, my vision is interesting because, like, sometimes I can see fine detail and sometimes I can't. It really depends. Often when I see something as small as a fruit fly or any kind of flying bug, like a fly, a normal sized fly, what I see it, like, in spurts. So, like it'll be there and then it won't be, and then it will be there and then it won't be, and it's, like, kind of, but so I can kind of see the general trajectory, like, it's here, and then it's here, and then it's here, and then it's here, or something, sometimes I can't see it at all, depending. Sometimes I can only hear it if it's, like, a buzzy fly. So there were fruit flies in the room, probably more than I could see, right? Because I would only, like, occasionally see one, and I was like, okay, well, that's annoying. and I'd forgotten about the apple very conveniently. My bed, I will say, the head of my bed was also right next to where this apple was. So I, God, it's terrifying to even think about how close. Like, I probably could have reached out and touched the apple, and I had no idea. And because it was like right next to the head of my bed. So 2 weeks went by, and I was attempting to clean, and I, was cleaning my desk, and I picked up that last piece of paper that was on top of that apple, and it was just a huge cloud of fruit flies just in my face immediately. It was raining outside. I had no shoes on. I did not have my key. And I might have grabbed my wallet before I ran. I definitely didn't put shoes on. As soon as I saw that, I literally just ran. I turned around. I opened my door without putting shoes on, and I ran down the hall, down the stairs, outside, onto the sidewalk, with no shoes on. And I ran the full length of the campus. I ran the entire length of the entire campus. And it was, to be fair, it was a kind of small campus. I mean, it wasn't tiny. It wasn't like a community college, but it was not like an enormous sprawling campus. Like some campuses are fucking huge. This was not that. It was kind of smallish. But I ran the entire length of the campus in the rain, no shoes on. I think I did grab my wallet before because I was like, I don't want to get locked out. And my wallet was by the door anyway, so, but I ran, and, my friend was in, the furthest dorm away from mine, the furthest dorm building away from mine. The dorms were not all, I don't know if this is a thing, I don't know how colleges usually work. Not all the dorms were in the exact same spot. There was scattered dorm buildings. Maybe that's normal. I just literally don't know. I'm just another example of me being too stupid. So, yeah, I ran to my friend's room, and just knocked, and I look like the saddest fucking creature in the world. I'm dripping with water. I have no shoes. And I'm crying also. I'm crying. I'm sobbing, crying. And she opens the door. And she is also she is this tiny creature. She was this tiny blonde little slip of a thing, and she just opens the door, and I'm just like, "Can I stay in your room? Bugs in my room." And she's like, "Okay." So she's like, "I do have to go to class kind of soon, but you can stay while I'm in class. My roommate's gone for a bit. Over the, because this was the weekend too, I think." So she's like, it was Friday, and it was going to be the weekend, and her friend, her roommate, was visiting home, or something. So it's just I'm just like, "Okay." I was just sitting on her bed, just just crying. And man, it was a disaster. It was a nightmare. It was a nightmare. We eventually, wonderful friend. I don't know what happened to her. I miss her. She was really sweet. But she ended up sending her boyfriend back to her room to see if I was okay, because he didn't have class at the time. And so he comes in, he's like, "You okay, man?" I'm just like, "No, I'm not okay at all." So I spent that weekend hopping around from dorm to dorm, whoever had room to take a very scared person who should have been able to deal with it, but I was not having a good time. I again, when I say afraid of bugs, it used to be phobia levels, severe phobia levels. I have worked on it since then. They still scare me, they still disturb me, and large clusters of them disturb me. And certain ones disturb me, and finding one on my body or in my bed still is extremely upsetting. or in my sleep. Have you ever like woken up and there's just a bug on your face? That has happened to me. You just wake up, turn over, and there's just something crawling on your face. It's terrifying, and I hate that. So, I don't actually remember why I brought this up, but man, that was a weekend because I actually remember I also went to this other guy that I was friends with. I went to his room for a while, not to sleep obviously, but to hang out. I actually had a huge crush on him at the time. He was my partner in my Japanese class, and he was half Japanese himself and was learning the language to connect with half of that half of his family, because he'd grown up in America, only knew English, so we were partners in that group, and I actually definitely liked him, and he definitely took me on a date, and I did not realize it was a date because I'm a fucking idiot. Like, he paid for my movie ticket, brought me to dinner, fucking dressed up nice, and we were talking, like, in the conversations that we were having, and then, like, at the end, I'm just like, so I remember you liked this other girl. I think you mentioned several months ago, that you had a passing crush on this other girl, and brought that up, and then he was, like, weirdly quiet about it, and I'm like, oh, that's weird. It was a date, and I'm an idiot. Anyway, we were hanging out in his room and talking about the bug thing. And I don't know why this came up. I don't think it came up maybe it did actually come up in direct relation to the conversation, but we decided to look up an online Rorschach test. And it was like, what does this look like? I'm like, a bug. What does this look like? A bug. What does this look like? A bug. He's like, you have a problem. I'm like, yeah, I know. Everything looks like a bug. All I can see is blood and bugs right now. So, there's that. It's just like, this is why I'm an idiot. But I've had a couple fruit flies around, and I'm like, bitch, if I forgot some piece of, because I do try to keep at least food clean right now. Like, I try to keep food clean. I try to keep, like, cans clean, off the floor. Throw out my trash. I do my dishes, like, every day, multiple times a day, because I have so few dishes. Right now I have 2 plates, 2 cups, 2 bowls, and 2 pairs of all silverware except for my spoons, of which I have 3. So that's the dishes I'm working with right now. So yeah, I do have to frequently wash them to have, things to eat on. So I do try to keep, like, that shit clean. But I'm like, man, have I forgot? I've been going around the apartment fucking, like, just, like, lifting random shit, checking under it for something, like a piece of fruit I dropped or something. I'm like, I swear to God, if there's a fucking, like, clementine hiding somewhere, a bit of apple, if I spilled something I'm unaware of, if there's a can that's got a bunch that I don't know where it is, oh my God. I will cry. I will actually cry, because I also don't have the things to make a trap for it right now, because you can make a trap for them with, like, apple cider vinegar and some dish detergent, and that'll fucking lure them and catch them, and it doesn't smell great, but it does that, and I'm gonna have to do that eventually, coming up pretty soon, so it doesn't become a problem. But I'm also like, where are they coming from? How many are there? How many are there? And are they... I'm terrified. I'm fucking losing my mind right now. Because I swear to God, if I fucking... There was one thing that I had kind of left out. I'd left a few grapes out, and I, like, picked them up, but I didn't, like, see any, there was no cloud. I didn't see any lift off of it. So it's like, okay, it's not that. So, I did throw those away. So, so that's currently fucking scaring the shit out of me right now. So, I don't know. I don't know where they could be coming from. I don't fucking know what could possibly be attracting them. I don't know. What was I talking about? I don't even remember why I started this video. What was I talking about? I don't actually know. Hi, I'm here. What was I talking about? Jesus. I think I was talking about the money thing. I didn't get the SSI payment. But I feel like I had more to say than just that, right? Oh god, now I look like an idiot on the internet. Such a unique experience looking like an idiot on the internet when you make content. I hate myself, man. I hate myself. This is a bad idea. Oh, I should say this. Yesterday I actually spent a lot of time writing. I wrote 2,500 words yesterday. And I'm very proud of most of them. Yeah, I think I'm finally gaining headway on my Narnia project. I called my best friend in the morning. We actually got a chance to call, and the one on the other side of the globe right now, and we got a chance to talk about the project in question, the Narnia project, and she has never read those books. She's never read the Chronicles of Narnia. So it's actually kind of cool to have someone that I'm talking to who doesn't know anything about the lore or anything. She's like, I saw the Disney movie a long time ago when it first came out and never seen it since. So she doesn't remember much, and she just didn't grow up around it. It was really nice to talk to her and just like, you know, because the thing I'm trying to do with that story, you know, I'm doing basically a rewrite of the books. For those who don't know, when I say my Narnia project, I'm talking about I'm doing a complete rewrite of all of the books. I'm doing a rewrite of it to be I'm calling it the Queer Narnia Project is what I'm calling it. Because I think, you know, those books were like, they changed my fucking life when I was a kid. They really did change my life. It was the first, like, you know, portal fantasy I'd read. You know, it was and I actually, what's funny is, thinking back, I think I might have only read them through once, like all of them. I think I read The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe multiple times, I think. And I think I used to sometimes listen to audiobooks on cassette tape. Anyone know what that is? Anyone remember what a cassette tape is? Anyone ever used a cassette tape? I used to listen to them on cassette tape while I was trying to sleep at night. Because I had a hard time sleeping as a kid. I've always been afraid of the dark. Nighttime has always been terrifying for me, and it still is, embarrassingly enough. I'm turning 30 this year, and it's still, night is still terrifying. Darkness is still terrifying. I do sometimes still use a nightlight. Not here. I haven't brought one over, which I probably should, but because I have been having a hard time, so probably should bring one over. I don't know. But so I think I did listen to it as like I tried to sleep, but oh no. Blech. Yuck. And yeah, those books were just like really really instrumental to my upbringing, and you know, I think everybody who's read, you know, those books or ever had like a Portal Fantasy series that they've been super into as a kid, and especially Narnia. It's like, you know, kind of, I don't know if it's like the originator of Portal Fantasy. I don't know the history of it. It's definitely obviously one of the most popular old examples of it, right? I think Lewis started writing it in 39 and didn't come out until 49. 1939, not his age, but you know, until like 1950, I think is when it got published or something. So, it's been around for a while. Old book series. And they shockingly actually do still hold up. I've been listening to them on audiobook as I try to sleep now. And it shockingly holds up decently well. There's some stuff that's a little like, ooh, but actually a lot less than I remembered. And I don't know, it's real good. It's really nice to be back in that universe again, I guess. Because I think, when you're a kid and, if I mean, thinking that there's just another place you could go, right? And the way Narnia is always described in the books is it's just this wonderful little place. It's just nice to be there. Well, not always. Not always, actually, explicitly not in The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. For the majority of that book, it's not a nice place to be at all, actually. But you know what I mean. Like, it's just, there's talking beasts, there's, dryads, naiads, all that stuff, all the fantasy stuff, fawns, just all kinds of stuff, dwarves. So I don't know. It's just nice to, but it's something that I think, I don't know. I actually don't even like the way I'm talking about this. I'm talking a little scattered today, and I'm not sure why I'm feeling so scattered and whatever. But I don't know. My brain's not working. Maybe filming was a bad idea. Maybe this was a bad idea. Maybe I should stop and delete this and not upload it at all. Actually, that might be a good idea. And I'm not going to do that, even though it is the better idea to do that. Instead, I'm going to ruin my life by keeping talking and uploading stuff that should never see the light of day. So yeah, I don't know. Like, when you're a kid and you just would rather be anywhere but where you are, just walk into a closet and boom, you're somewhere else, And I wanted to rewrite the books to be, all of the kids who go into Narnia, in the original books, they're cis straight white kids, because that's that's not a big deal, and I don't even really like that I'm bringing that terminology into it. But what I'm saying is there's not as much diversity as like like I didn't get to see someone like me, right? Like a little trans boy, a little kind of fucked up trans boy or whatever, like, again, not the right way to say it, but like, neurodivergent, disabled, visually impaired. I didn't get to see that in a lot of books I read as a kid, and I call it the Queer Narnia Project, but because a lot of it I want to include a lot of queer identities in the story. I want to, change the story to explicitly involve, queer identifying people. I did play around with the idea: am I writing this with, am I writing this for kids? So like having it be about children, or am I having it be about adults? And I decided that I am. It is, it is an adult series. I've aged everyone up. Although, I am I don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna do with future books. Maybe in future books I'll be like, some of the kids are younger still, but I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't actually know. It's still in its infancy, right? I've written a few thousand words, but it's, I'm still figuring out a lot of it. A lot of it is still just kind of circling in my head, as I'm still developing those ideas. But, I wanted to, write a version of Narnia where, everyone feels included, right? Like anyone feels included. Anyone can see themselves in the story. And I'm calling it the Queer Narnia Project, but it with the full understanding that queer means gay, means LGBTQ+, and also, how it's actually funny that word is used semi-frequently in the books, because that was around the time when the word queer just meant weird. So there is actually a lot of dialogue where the word queer is actually used in the book as its original meaning. So, you know, I'm definitely not stripping the word queer from its LGBTQ plus designation as it has now, but I also, I don't know, I want to make it about a lot of different types of diversity, right? Like, I want to write a version of Narnia. And when I say rewrite, like, I'm not just like scripting the same scenes that happen directly as they happen. You know, I am changing things. I'm adding things. I'm more adding things than taking things away. But you know, I am you know, adding storylines, adding story elements, adding identities to the children, the characters, I should say, because they're not. I mean, well, okay. You know, the first part that I've written, I'm starting with the Magician's Nephew because I'm doing a chronological. I'm writing it in chronological order. There are technically two orders that you can read the books. Which, by the way, if you have not read the books, they are great books to read. And I know they have a heavy like Christian narrative surrounding them. Obviously, like when C.S. Lewis wrote them, he basically said Aslan is Jesus. Like he said there's a line in the book where it's like where Aslan says something like, "I am known by another name in your world. You must learn to know me by it there." And it basically saying that Aslan is Jesus. So there is that, but also I do think that the story is dynamic enough that even if your beliefs don't align with that, it doesn't interfere with that, right? Like, there's a lot of Christian lit that I think is exclusively for a Christian audience in a way that it's just not dynamic enough or inclusive enough, or frankly, it's just not doesn't have a wide enough view to include any other perspective in it. Unfortunately, I don't think the Chronicles of Narnia are like that. I think they are. I think they can be enjoyed by anyone, even if that is not a belief you align with, because it does not heavily rely on that belief system to tell its story. It really doesn't. And that's one of the reasons I like it, and one of the reasons that I think, you know, especially since a lot of Christian culture and the church, I have a lot of thoughts on how the church versus faith, right? Religion versus faith. There's a difference between religion versus faith. I guess this is a tangent, but you know, faith is individual. Faith is your relationship with your God and yourself, your relationship with your belief system, your morality system. You know, that's what faith is. Faith is between you and your God, and it's a relationship. It's dynamic. It should be dynamic. It should be subject to your views, your identity, your perspective on life. We should all have freedom of faith. Freedom of faith. Anyone should be able to have whatever faith they have. Religion is the, you know, societal construct of that. Religion is upheld by the church, is upheld by the greater society. It is the institutionalization of faith. I am not a fan of religion. I think religion is where we get the hate. Whenever we see hate in a religious community, it is from religion. It is from this belief in a religion over a people and a belief in a religion over a relationship. I do not like religion, but I am a firm believer in faith, and I am a firm believer that you can have faith in the Christian God without it being used as a weapon, frankly. You can have faith in the Christian God and have it be a dynamic relationship between you and your God, and not have it interfere with how you treat the other human beings you occupy the world with. And that is why we have freedom of faith, and we should have freedom of faith and not freedom of religion. So there's my fucking burning hill I'll die on, and I will be murdered on it probably. But that's fine. Anyway, to get back to what I was actually talking about. You know, I think, you know, I don't know, the stories, I feel like the original books had such a, you know, there was such a, you know, magical quality to them. You know, it's, you know, a type of escapism that felt like, you know, I don't know. I don't exactly have words to put to it. I don't know. I always wanted to have my own little magical world as a kid. Like, I read Narnia, and I made up my own little. I think a lot of kids did this. They made their own like little magical world, right? Like, I had my own that I like, kind of, I don't know, whatever. Everyone has like imaginary friends as kids, right? Mine is actually my imaginary friend is really funny. I had a winged deer. Um, don't know why. I should say buck. It was a winged buck. And he was very small. Like he was smaller than like he was not rideable. Unfortunately, he was like the size of not a horse. I just said it was smaller. But it's not a dog. Bigger than a dog. Bigger than a big dog. Like bigger than a great like slightly bigger than a Great Dane, I'd say. Just a little bigger than a Great Dane. So big, but not big enough to ride. And he had wings, and because I was so intelligent, his name was Stallion, even though he's a fucking deer. So yeah, that's my embarrassing story. That's my imaginary friend that I talk to all the time, and was my fucking entrance to that world. So I think all kids really like the idea of a place you can disappear to, a different world to go into, and I also think that a lot of it's hard to sometimes find stories where you can see yourself. In general, again, representation is very important to me in media, and I think it can be hard to find enough stories that represent you. So I really wanted to write a version of Narnia where there are more examples of people. And obviously you can never have everyone. You can never have every single combination of experiences. You can, there's billions of people on the planet, right? So it's like, you can't encompass everyone's experience. Of course, that's, that's reaching a little too high, unfortunately. But, I'm trying to incorporate as much as I can a wide spectrum of experiences in it, because I think that's important, right? I think it's important to write stories where people can see themselves, and you know, and I'm also trying to take elements of the stories that already exist and expanding on them, like. This isn't really spoilers because this is the information I'm about to disclose is all revealed on like the first page of Magician's Nephew. But if you care, I know there are some people who like they care so much about spoilers that it's like they don't want to know anything. So if that's you, probably leave now. I guess it's I'm not getting into actual spoilers, but again, if you're a person who's like I don't want to know anything before I do anything, then yeah, I'm gonna talk about shit. So. But the main character is Diggory in the Magician's Nephew, and it talks about in the first page very briefly. It talks about how his father is away in India. He's still his father is ostensibly still English of some sort. It takes place in that area, the UK. I don't know exactly where. They're in London in the first book, I know. I think also in Lions, Witch and Wardrobe they're in London, I think. I don't know, but UK. He's still that, but I decided to instead expand on that, and his father is from India, and that's why his father is back in India, so he's, half Indian, half white. I don't know. And then the other individual, Polly, I am. They are non-binary and use a hearing aid for one ear. So, that's kind of the stuff. I'm also they are neurodivergent. I'm writing them neurodivergent. So. And degree, I'm also writing as gay, so it's stuff like that. Like it's I'm trying to take what's there and expand on it while also adding some new stuff. You know, it's about diversity, but it is also about, you know, I don't know. I love the Narnia books, and it's frustrating because like sometimes I feel like I can't talk about things the way I want to. Because I feel like I'm trying to talk about this and I keep stopping, and then I'm talking like around it, and I don't know, whatever. It's frustrating. I don't know. Sometimes, I don't know, probably some kind of shame bullshit. I'm enjoying something. Why am I talking about what I enjoy? I don't know. I'm stupid. I'm dumb. But, you know, it's... I'm just really excited to kind of write a version of the world and the characters that is my own, I guess. You know, be able to kind of make it a place that I feel like I would have been allowed in, I guess. Not that I felt like I wouldn't have been in the original books, but you know what I mean, right? Like you know what I'm saying, right? This makes sense, maybe? I don't know. I'm kind of frustrated because I was blabbing about it to my friend yesterday for fucking like a long time. You know, I don't know why I'm struggling to talk about it here on my channel. That's mine. You know, it's a little frustrating. That for some reason I feel like I can't do that. I don't know. I'm really excited about it, though. I'm excited about it. You know, I've written a decent chunk. I say I've written a decent chunk. Man, when I say I'm adding shit, again, I have a few thousand words right now. We've, like, just got, like, if you're looking at the original book, we're, like, halfway down the second page of what's there. And what I've written is, like, 8 or 9 pages on the Word document. So it's, like, great, good. I'm really fucking chewing the scenery, I guess. So, I don't know. I'm really excited about the project. I also want to draw for it. I want to do some drawings, but also I have such limited capacity right now to do shit. I'm stressed to hell, you know. This SSA thing, like, it's like, what do? I've made 2 phone calls and was told it was fixed. What do I fucking do beyond this? You know? I have to fucking go to the office. That's a pain in the ass. I don't know if you've ever been to the SSA office. It's a fucking pain in the ass. And I have to go to a different office now because I'm in a different fucking place. So I have to go to a different office. And I have a feeling, because the area I'm in is a little more populated than the other one, it's probably going to be even more of a pain in the ass. It's going to be longer lines, you know, so. Oh, God. There's just so much paperwork. There's always so much fucking paperwork. There's just paperwork and fucking mail, and the mail has been being delivered wrong to this place. Like, I keep finding mail that's not mine in the mailbox, and I'm like, that's not my name. And so, also, I haven't received my own mail for a while, so it's like, oh great, am I just getting my mail delivered to the wrong... You know, if I'm getting other people's mail, is my mail going to other people? And no one's checking their mailbox, so I don't get my fucking mail? Like, I don't know. I don't fucking know. I'm so fucking stressed. I'm so fucking stressed. I'm so stressed. Jesus Christ. I'm so fucking stressed. I'm drowning in it. I'm fucking drowning in it. Drowning in fucking stress. You know, this week I have my first shot of testosterone. And it's like, I don't know how that's gonna go. Terrified of that. Terrified of getting found out. You know, I have to somehow coordinate a ride and go without anyone knowing. And I know, you know, the changes do not start with the first injection. That's, you know, it's... I was talking to the doctor, and she's like, you know, it's not like, boom, boy. So, but I've also been having like this imposter syndrome bullshit. I think that's what to call it. I don't know. But I'm just like, what if testosterone's the wrong answer? I know I'm a boy. I know I'm a man. I know I identify as a man. That is not a question. That is not a question at all. But I'm like, I don't know. It's hard to explain this, but this channel has like I hate my reflection, right? I mean mirrors in general suck, but like I hate my reflection in the mirror. I feel like I look like a fucking foul, disgusting monster, I've sometimes called myself maggot meat, and that's what I see in the mirror, is I see maggot meat. Just this disgusting, pale, fetid, foul, rotting corpse person that's just like not even human and not even just a fucking bulbous, festering fucking monster. That's what I see when I look in the mirror. But for some reason, when I watch my YouTube videos, I have some of that. Like sometimes I'll rewatch a video and I'll be like yelling at myself, like, "Oh, you're so fucking ugly. Go die in a hole. Kill yourself. Whatever." But then sometimes I watch the videos and I'm like, I look like a human. Like I look like a person. Like I look like someone I would sit down and listen to talk, and then I do. I sit down and listen to myself talk on repeat for hours sometimes. I go back and watch my videos multiple times. Not all of them, but some of my shorts I'll put on loop for literally hours. Some of the videos, I'll sit there and I'll just keep watching them, and then the next day I'll come back and watch it again, and I'll watch it again, and I'll watch it again, And then it makes me want to film more. It makes me want to see myself more, because it's like, I don't know why I can't see this when I look in the mirror, and I don't know why I can't see it when I'm just with myself, but for some reason something about this makes me feel more human. And sometimes I don't even hate my appearance as much as I do in normal life. Like I just said, literally when I look in the mirror, I see a foul fucking beast that I cannot interpret as a human being. I've tried for years, and I cannot interpret the fucking monster in the mirror as a human. I can't do it. I can't. No matter how hard I try, I can't do it. I can't fucking do it. He looks so disgusting, and I hate him, and I'm angry at him, and I wish I could hurt him, but it's glass, I can't touch it. And I don't know what makes it different about it being a video. Some of me wonders if it's just being able to see my expressions shift, hear my voice, hear myself talk about something. Sometimes I wonder if that's what makes the difference, because it does make me feel masculine to hear myself talk, even though I have what many would describe as a feminine voice, unfortunately. I do feel like when I rewatch that I feel like I'm masculine. I look masculine, and not everybody would see it that way. And man, this video is really all over the place. I don't know. Masculinity and femininity for me are very, very fucking complicated. I'm not a girl. And I do not wish to be called a girl. It hurts. It actively hurts to be called a girl. And also, and this is an issue with men in general in our society, frankly, and especially queer men, especially cis queer men, cis gay men. There is often an internal fight with your femininity. The gender is not binary. It's not simple. Even if you are a binary gender, the concept of gender is not binary. You know what I mean? Like there's a difference between being a non-binary gender where you feel like I am not a man, I am not a woman, or I'm both, or whatever. Like there's a difference between that and I am a man. Like I am a man. And within that masculinity there is, there's going to be androgyny, masculinity, femininity within that. Everyone has those in different amounts. If they really truly examine their gender, if you really truly think about your gender, there will be some kind of mixture. No one is 100% anything, because gender is societal. It's a construct. It's both real and not real, right? It is real because if it wasn't real, we wouldn't have dysphoria. Dysphoria wouldn't exist if gender was completely not real at all. and also it also is not real. It's also just this idea that we've made up as humans. Yeah, it's complicated, right? It's very complicated. It's way more complicated than I am qualified to talk about, honestly. But I have opinions because I've thought about my own gender for a long time, to an obsessive degree, frankly, and it's very frustrating. It's very frustrating. I kind of wish I could just stop thinking sometimes and not have to fucking do that. Anyway, but you know, it is a thing. And obviously this is also a thing with trans people. Obviously for trans people, gender is you know, the biggest battle you will probably, well, one of the biggest battles you will fight. Like, it's, you know, it's your gender is different from what you were assigned. It's different from what everyone has told you are, right? So obviously we think about it a little bit more than the average person. But even, you know, this is something that I have used to kind of talk to myself a little bit, where it's like, yes, even queer men who are cis, you know, often have a struggle with femininity. You know, there's a lot of negativity around flamboyant men or feminine men. They receive a lot of hate, a lot of backlash, a lot of homophobia, a lot of queerphobia, and you know, it's you know, it's a subset of misogyny. You know, it's another example of hatred towards femininity that is executed on men, because it is a complicated, nuanced conversation, right? So, and I say subset of misogyny. I'm not saying cis men are, you know, I'm not saying that a hatred of a cis man is misogyny. It's complicated. I just said it was complicated. It's misogynistic. It's a subset of misogyny because misogyny is about the hatred of women and the hatred of femininity. And so when men are feminine, and often, you know, when queer men are feminine, because also even straight men can be feminine, and that's a whole fucking thing too, you know. Again, it's complicated. But what I'm saying is, you know, there is kind of a, I don't know. I think it's very normal as a queer man to struggle with your femininity, to be like, where does this sit in my identity? And as a trans man, I want to reject it all completely. I want to say there is none of that in me. I'm not a woman, and I do not have any part of me that wants to engage with anything feminine about me, you know, because it has been used to dishonor my identity. It has been used to disrespect me. It has been used to invalidate and negate my experience. And I think that is an experience of a lot of trans individuals, that, you know, having a complicated understanding of your own gender that goes beyond, you know, what another person can understand, you know, like, you know, I'm a trans man who has some feminine aspects that, you know, I can't tell if I hate or not. You know, there's also this thing that a lot of times when people transition, sometimes they're like things that they didn't like about their body, and then they take hormones and they're like, actually, I realize now that I have the other thing, I actually do hate that, you know. Sometimes that happens, you know. Sometimes people enter transition and are like, I have this idea of how my transition's gonna go, and I want to keep my tits, or I fucking, you know, don't want bottom surgery, and then they try, like, get further along in treatment. They're like, God, actually take these off me, Jesus, you know. I actually don't want these. Please get them away from me. So, you know, that also does happen. That as you transition and you see what you can look like, you know, you see what your brain wants you to look like. And that reflection in the mirror gets perhaps maybe a little more closer to what your brain wants to see, then, you know, I don't know, it can change. So that's the thing. Is like, do I just have cold feet? Am I just scared because it's happening? And because also there's the very real risk of losing family members. There's the very real risk that the isolation I'm already experiencing from socially transitioning, that it will be worse. That is both a real possibility and absolutely going to happen, frankly. There will be family members who will reject this, and that's not something I can escape. And I just have to hope that my parents love me enough that I don't know what I'm hoping. I don't know. I don't know what you know, here's the thing. My new queer friends, I love them. You know, I want to be closer friends with them. I want to, you know, I want to have those friendships with other queer people. And also, you know, it's not my friends who bailed me out financially. It's not my friends who helped me pick up groceries. It's not my friends, you know, who helped me pay the electric bill when it was going to overdraw my account. It's not my friends who are helping me do laundry. It's not my friends who took me to a last-minute doctor's appointment because I have an infection that's making me sick. You know? So, you know. And you know, they're kind people, but I don't think they're the type of people that I don't think they're able to fill in the gaps for one reason or another. If my family, you know, it's not about how kind or whatever. They're kind people. It's about ability to fill in those gaps. I just don't think they have the ability to. I don't think they have their own resources to, you know. So it's, you know, what happens to me, you know. What happens to me? I don't know. You know, I struggle with, to go back to what I was just saying, is you know, I struggle with, you know, my gender sometimes. You know, I am a man. No pronouns feel right other than he, him. He, him is the only thing that feels correct. My name is David. You know, that is the correct name. You know, I am a man. That is the correct gender identity for me. You know, over the course of my channel, I've deepened my voice. I've changed some of my mannerisms. I've kind of, if you really watch closely, I've even evolved some of the ways that I move my face, which that's terrifying. That's actually really terrifying. If you go back and look at my first fucking vlog, my face looks totally different than it does now. I'm not sure why. I don't know why. But I've changed a lot. I've changed a lot in how I present myself and act and all that shit. And the video, you know, I actually can't go watch those old videos because my voice is too high and it doesn't sound right. And it's actually very difficult to look at those videos and look at myself in those videos. I hate that guy, and I shouldn't, but I do. I hate that guy. He looks awful and disgusting and like a monster. Is that cruel to say to myself? Yes, that is very cruel to say. It is horrific for me to speak like that about myself. And also, I am telling you how I feel. I am telling you what goes on in my brain on a day-to-day basis, waking up in a body that is trans and can't, you know, isn't transitioned, and this is what I deal with on a daily basis. Every time I look in the mirror, every time I wash my fucking hands, every time I brush my fucking teeth. And people wonder why it's like, oh, you don't brush your teeth enough. Man, the mirror's trying to kill me. So, I don't know. It's complicated, right? It's complicated. It's complicated. I do struggle with where, you know, my masculinity versus my femininity, you know. I do think a lot of the reasons I like watching my videos is because, to me, I do sound masculine. I do look masculine. I look at myself in those videos and I'm like, that's a guy. That's a man. You know, he looks like a man. He acts like a man. He speaks like a man. That's a man. And I'm like, that man is me. I'm, you know, I'm him. And also, you know, sometimes, you know, I think what's been difficult to determine or to discern is that sometimes I watch the videos and I'm like, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Never in my life have I ever looked at anything of myself, video or photo or mirror or anything, and ever thought that it looked like a human. Never. Not until I started YouTube. Not until I started watching my videos. And that's a new experience for me, to look at a reflection of myself and be like, that's a person. Maybe that's not a monster, you know? Because that's always been my experience when I was young. That's why I avoided cameras. There is not a single picture in existence of me and my exes together. We were together for 5 years, and there's not a single picture of all three of us because I hate pictures so much. I avoid them so much. There's not even a picture of me with the kids. Oh, no. Okay, that's a lie. Actually, there is one. There is one of us at Pride. There's one of all of us at Pride. I did forget. I also don't have that picture anymore, unfortunately. I don't know where it went. So that's depressing. You know, I don't know. So it's a new experience, right? And it makes me question, you know, should I take testosterone? Do I want to take testosterone? You know, I am a man, but what if testosterone is the wrong answer? What if, you know, I don't know. It scares me, you know. What if this is the first time I've ever felt any kind of acceptance of how I look or acceptance of, you know, who I am. So, you know, but I'm also starting from a place that not every trans person starts as. You know, I don't know how common it is for trans people, other trans people. You know, I know it's common to look in the mirror and be like, I hate that. You know, it's common to, you know, hate your appearance. Obviously, that is a lot of the gender dysphoria, is just to like look in the mirror and just be like, wow, I hate that. And there is a lot of things like avoiding mirrors. There's a lot of, you know, a lot of the same behaviors I have, but I haven't heard. And again, I have not listened to every single trans person experience. Maybe there's somebody on YouTube who has talked about this exact same thing, and I just haven't heard it. So there's always that, you know. I do not know everything. I have not heard every human experience. So, you know, maybe it's more common than I think, but it's just, you know, looking in the mirror and just being like, that's a pile of maggot meat. You know, it's fucking foul, pale corpse, bulbous and fucking rotting from the inside. You know, he looks like a monster. He looks like something that, you know, is swimming on the inside with foul parasites and worms, and you know, he looks like, you know, something for the vultures. You know, I don't know how many people have that experience. I don't know. I don't know how many trans people have that experience. And I don't know why the experience is different when I watch a video. I don't. It also seems to make a difference if I watch the video on my laptop versus when it's uploaded. I don't know why that is. Something, you know, I watch my videos from a second account. You know, I don't know. I don't understand. I don't understand it at all. I don't understand what I'm doing or what's happening or why it feels different. And it you know, it's like, does that mean, you know, I don't know. I get scared. Does that mean does that mean that testosterone is the wrong answer? Does that mean, do I feel better this way? But then it's like, you know, I look in the mirror, I go to hang out with people who think I'm a girl. My voice sounds my voice sounds better on a recording to me. It sounds a little deeper because I think almost everyone's voice, unless you have an insanely good camera, your voice does just sound, or insanely good microphone, I mean. Your voice just naturally sounds a little deeper on a recording, so it sounds deeper when I listen back than it does in my head, because you know, when I'm speaking to people, and in my day-to-day life, my voice sounds like, "Hi, how are you doing?" Like, it doesn't sound natural. It doesn't sound right. So there's stuff like that it's like, okay, testosterone ostensibly might fix that. In theory. I don't know. But I get scared. I don't know. I get scared. I do get scared. Am I making the wrong decision? It's a big decision. This is a, this is a pretty, this would be a little late, late to fucking, again, I have thought about it for years. And it's another thing that I keep coming back to is like, okay, the treatment for gender dysphoria. Not all trans people choose to go on hormones, and that's fine. There are binary trans people who, for one reason or another, do choose to not go on hormones and do feel better that way. That does exist. They are definitely the minority of trans identities. That's for sure. But it does happen. And there are also even a lot of non-binary people who pursue hormones, who aren't binary trans, and they still need to take hormones for their own view of themselves. So it's, but the treatment for gender dysphoria is hormonal treatment. That is the treatment for the disorder of gender dysphoria. That is the way you treat that. So that is also something that I'm kind of relying on. Honestly, in a weird way, it almost does help to kind of, take it back to the medical basics of it. This is a medication to treat something that is killing me. It is killing me, it's killing me. And none of my questioning around that is questioning whether being trans is real or is questioning whether dysphoria is real. This is all just my personal experience, right? Like this is my personal experience with my gender, my journey with my gender. Gender dysphoria is very real, and it's something I experience. I have been diagnosed with it, and there are some people who will hear what I say today and will interpret it as me saying, it's all, trans is all in your head, and whatever. You could take any number of things and run with what I've said, but I don't hear anything I'm saying as a, God, the sun is right in my eyes. It's like glowing off the table. It's like, I can't see. Don't take any of it as invalidation of other trans people who, are taking hormones, because obviously that is, I don't know what I'm saying. God, I'm actually really tired. I don't know why I'm tired. You know what I mean and what I don't mean, okay? Don't be stupid. You know what I mean and you know what I don't mean, and if you use my words to attack others within the community, I will hunt you down and I will kill you, and that is a threat and a promise. So, God, for fuck's sake, don't fucking take my words out of goddamn context. I will kick you in the taint and I will feel good about it. So, anyway, there's that. Jesus, I don't fucking know. What is my fucking life? I'm scared. That's what it comes down to. I'm just scared. I'm scared of everything. I'm scared of everything. The secret is, I'm always scared. That's the real truth of it. I'm just always scared of everything, constantly. And yet I am not diagnosed with an anxiety disorder. Instead, they're throwing around psychosis. It's frustrating because I did used to have an anxiety diagnosis years ago, and then they took it away. That's the bonkers thing, is they did diagnose me with anxiety many years ago, and then some idiot was like, never mind, you don't have anxiety. What do you call this then? Oh, I forgot. I might be bipolar, right? Maybe it's bipolar. And there's nothing wrong with, that's not to disparage people with bipolar identities, because that is a difficult mental illness to carry, and that is very difficult to live with bipolar. Borderline sometimes gets compared to bipolar. They are not the same thing, by the way. They are not the same thing, and they do work differently. But both disorders, borderline and bipolar, do carry a very big mood swings. The big difference is that with bipolar, you go through periods of manic behavior and then depressive behavior, experiences of mania and depression. So there's this cycle to it where, you're feeling real great, real fucking good, real awesome, or sometimes you're really panicked, but it's like this really long period of up followed by a long period of down, measured in, days or weeks. That's bipolar, whereas borderline is more, with bipolar, you also do have mood swings within that. You also can have heavy mood swings within that. But with borderline, it's more of up, I'm down, up, I'm down, up, I'm down. It's like, I feel great, and now it's 2 p.m. and I hate you and myself and everything, And then it's 4 p.m. and I feel great again. And then, it's just, oh, God. So, I do have sympathy for my mental health brethren who suffer from the ups and downs that accompany mental health struggles. But they are different. But I don't remember why I went on that delineation. Yeah, I don't know. This is right in my eyes. It's the sun is glowing right off the table and it's bouncing into my eyes. It hurts. It's also probably lighting me really fucking weird. That's what you definitely want, the underlighting, right? the fucking flashlight at the sleepover. One day I'll be a real YouTuber and have lighting, and that's a lie. That's a complete lie. That's an absolute lie. Because that's also the frustrating thing is with SSI, it's there's so much fucking I couldn't even make money off this if in theory, if my channel were to take off and I were to be able to turn on monetization, I could not do so. I couldn't do so because it would fuck with my benefits. Because if you make too much money, you lose your benefits. And it wouldn't be that in the beginning, but also any other income you get punished for. You get punished for having other types of income with SSI. I would not be able to turn on monetization because I could lose my benefits if I were to ever make enough. And, even if the pay was, fluctuating and it fluctuated too high one time, that could mean I lose my fucking benefits. And, suddenly I don't have health insurance. Suddenly I can't afford my testosterone. Suddenly I can't afford to live here. I would lose this apartment. If I had an income, I would lose this apartment because this is part of the reason I have this is because it is reduced pay through SSI, and I'm grateful for it every fucking day. The fact that I fucking have this apartment is a blessing. It is a blessing. I love this fucking apartment. I love it so much. I really do. Not happy about the fruit fly problem right now, and I'm not happy about the fucking that I'm struggling to keep it clean. And really not happy about the mess with rent and stuff. I don't even know what I fucking owe this month. She hasn't fucking told me. But I love this apartment. I love it so much. I really do. It is such a blessing, and I'm so grateful for it every day. I love this fucking apartment. I love having my own space. I can't wait until I can actually get my dog here, and he can go down the fucking stairs with me to go to the bathroom. But if I were to make money off of my channel, I would lose this place. And where would I go? Hope my parents would take me back, but depending on how far along I am in my transition, I don't know. I don't know if they'd take me back. I'm not sure. They say they would. They also don't know I'm starting testosterone right now. And that is not a conversation I feel safe having with them, and I hope they are more unobservant than I think they are. But also, how unobservant do you have to be to not notice that, you know what I mean? So, that's rolling the dice. My voice starts cracking. I feel like that's gonna be hard to hide. So, I don't know, man. Well, what if I'm not trans? What if I'm not trans? No, I do know I'm trans. It's right now the fucking worry is just, okay, what if I'm trans and but also fucking testosterone somehow makes me feel worse about myself, because I fucking hate my appearance so much. I hate my appearance so much. And I can only tolerate it at fucking whatever. I can only tolerate it in this fucking box, apparently. Where you conveniently can't see my tits. So maybe that has something to do with it. Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? I'm just crazy after all. I'm just crazy. I probably should end the video. But I don't want to. I don't want to. I don't want to. Because if I end the video, I have to go back to worrying about my life. I have to fucking go back to being a mess and a nightmare. Which I don't want to do right now. I don't want to think about anything. I don't want to think about anything. I don't want to think about anything right now. I don't want to think about anything. I don't want to fucking think about anything. I don't want to think about anything. Can't do that, unfortunately. I'm so fucking tired right now. So fucking tired. I don't know why I'm tired. Maybe I didn't get enough sleep last night. I feel like there was shit I was talking about that I never finished talking about, and that's really frustrating. Because I also can't fucking remember what it was, and I'm just tired. I'm just tired right now. Who the fuck is texting me? I don't watch TikTok. I have TikTok downloaded for literally one person that I mostly watch on YouTube anyway. Fucking, I don't know. And it's like literally the only reason I have TikTok at all. Because occasionally she posts on there. And why do you keep messaging me, TikTok? I don't even use you. I probably should use TikTok. I don't know. I probably should watch it more. I feel like I'm just an old boomer man. And I'm like, I don't want to watch TikTok. I never even watched Vine when it came out. Like, I missed Vine completely. Vine was born and died before I fucking, like, had a chance. So it's like, I should probably use TikTok to actually know what people are talking about and not live under less of a rock. You know, maybe peek my head out from under the rock. Maybe take a look at my surroundings from under the rock. You know, I'd like to leave the rock, but I can't. It's trapping me. It's trapping me. I live under a rock. I don't know anything about anything. I literally know nothing about anything at all. I'm so fucking tired. Why am I so fucking tired? I feel like the light is making me tired, which is that's dumb. That's not true, but it's like in my eyes. Okay, I actually have to stop. I'm literally not even talking about anything. Holy shit, I'm just like fucking sitting here fucking doing nothing. I don't know what's wrong with me. I don't know what's wrong with me. Okay, did I talk about everything? No. Can I talk about everything? No. This is one video. I don't know how long it is. Probably too long. Fuck. I'm working on my Narnia project. I'll keep you updated on that. Man, I really wish I could have talked more about that because I had more things to say, but I am having trouble talking about it on camera for some fucking dumb reason. Probably because I hate myself. Probably because I have imposter syndrome. Probably because I self-sabotage everything I ever do. Probably because I actually want myself to fail. That's the real secret about me is I want myself to fail. I want myself to fail, and I do everything in my power to make sure I fail. Because I live to see my own destruction. I live to see myself crash and burn. And that's the real toxic shit. That's the real toxic trait I have. So there's that confession. You know. I don't know. Leave a comment. Give me something to talk about. Give me something to do. Give me something to do today. Leave a comment. I don't care what it is. you know, be kind. Try to do that. That's always nice. That's always nice when someone's kind, you know? Okay. Alright, fuck. Jesus. Okay. Listen. Don't listen to me. Don't listen to me ever. Don't listen to me. Don't look at me. Don't leave, actually. Go away. I don't want people watching my videos. This is for me. This is for me, myself, and God. So, fuck off. Alright. Bye. Jesus.